Ever wanted to play as the web-slinging, spider-bitten, shockingly stealthy, half Puerto Rican, half African American, mental-assuming, black and red Spider-Man? Well, you're in luck, because this is D&D How to Play.
Needless to say, I keep on check. She was on back, I'm on less. Calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck.
Miles Morales. Now before we jump into character creation, we have to set some criteria. As Kid Arachnid, you need to take after your precursor. That means having similar powers to Peter Parker, such as wall climbing, web shooting, spider sense, and superhuman agility. Additionally, you have your own signature powers such as Spider Camouflage, which is practically invisibility, and Venom Blast, which is practically electric powers. And lastly, just because we can, let's include his upbringing as a half Puerto Rican and African American. Let's start with our stats. I'm using the standard point array, but feel free to roll yours, just keep your scores above the minimum multi-class prerequisites. Strength will be our lowest stat. Miles is far from weak, he is very strong if anything, but something has to be dumped, and we don't really need strength for anything in this build. Dexterity will be our highest score, you're constantly bouncing around, dodging fire, and just being generally very acrobatic. Constitution gets the lower middle stat of 12. Miles is relatively tough, but you focus more on dodging than tanking, and you are just a kid. Intelligence will be our second lowest stat. He isn't dumb, he's actually kinda smart in most iterations, but we don't need it for anything, and this build is mainly based on the Spider-Verse version of Miles. Wisdom is our high middle stat, also known as 13. The Spider Sense gives you a very special superhuman awareness. Some would even call it a variant perception. Lastly, Charisma will get our second highest stat. Miles is an enjoyable guy who radiates charisma. Unconfident charisma, but charisma nevertheless. And let's be honest, he's kinda handsome. Now I bet you thought we would go variant human, didn't you? Nope, we're actually going half-elf. Think about it, half-elf and half-human, half African-American and half Puerto Rican. Both are split between two worlds. Plus, if we go half-elf instead of variant human, we will still end up with exactly what we would get from variant human, plus more. Half-elves get plus 2 charisma, giving us a plus 3 modifier. Additionally, you get plus 1 on 2 other abilities, so let's use it to round out our dexterity and wisdom. Odd numbers are gross and disgusting, and we don't accept that kind around here. Our elven blood gives us dark vision for 60 feet, and fey ancestry, which gives you advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. Lastly, we gain proficiency in 2 skills of our choice. Take deception so you can keep lying to yourself, and intimidation so bad guys won't underestimate you. For our background, let's take urchin. You get proficiency in sleight of hand, stealth, disguise kits, and thieves tools. But we get thieves tools proficiency at level 1, so we get to choose painter supplies instead. That way, we can tag the most beautiful piece of graffiti artwork ever, which I'll admit was my computer background for a whole year. Our starting level will be as a rogue. First, we get to choose 4 rogue skills. Acrobatics, Athletics, Perception, and Investigation lets you bounce around and inspect your surroundings. Next, we get expertise in 2 skills we are proficient in. Acrobatics lets you bounce around even more, and Perception makes sure nothing gets past your spider sense, which you don't have yet. Oops. We also get Sneak Attack, which lets you deal an extra 1d6 damage per turn to one creature you hit with advantage on the attack roll. Alternatively, you don't need advantage on the attack roll if another enemy of the target is within 5 feet of it, that enemy isn't incapacitated, and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll. These attacks must use a finesse or a ranged weapon. Lastly, we get Thieves' Cat, allowing you to speak that hip teenage lingo in your neighborhood.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
For our second level, we get Cunning Action, allowing you to dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action. When you're a deviant with a cop as a father, you gotta be able to sneak around as fast as possible. For our next level, let's jump right on over to Monk. First, we get Unarmed Defense, which makes your AC equal to 10 plus your Dexterity modifier plus your Wisdom modifier. Next, we get Martial Arts. This makes your unarmed strikes a 1d4 plus your Dexterity modifier, instead of the regular 1 plus your Strength modifier. You can also use Dexterity instead of Strength on any weapon you're proficient in, as long as they don't have the two-handed, special, or heavy properties. Additionally, when you use the attack action with an unarmed strike or a monk weapon on your turn, you can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action, assuming you haven't already taken a bonus action this turn. Technically, your fists are finesse, so I'll let you use Sneak Attack, but your DM might be a stickler. In that case, buy some knives and draw a spider on them. I feel like I've heard that somewhere else before. Let's get right back to 3rd level Rogue, which upgrades our sneak attack to 2d6, and we get to pick a roguish archetype. And I swear, I'm not doing this because of his ethnicity, but the thief archetype fits this build perfectly. You get second story work, which lets you climb vertical surfaces without having it cost you extra movement, effectively giving you a climbing speed equal to your walking speed. Additionally, when you make a running jump, you can add your dexterity modifier to the distance you cover. Additionally, fast hands adds more things to your Cunning Action feature. You can now, as a bonus action, also make a dexterity sleight of hand check, use the Thieves' Tools to disarm a trap or open a lock, or take the use an object action. At the 4th level of Rogue, our spider sense will really start kicking in, as we can now grab the Alert feat. You gain a +5 bonus to your initiative, and you can't be surprised while you are conscious. Additionally, other creatures don't gain advantage on attack rolls against you as a result of being unseen by you. Now that you have acquired the base powers of a spider person, let's start getting our own distinct powers. First level sorcerers get to pick 4 cantrips. Message lets you whisper something to someone within 120 feet, which only they can hear, and they can reply with a whisper only you can hear. Shocking Grasp allows you to do the shoulder touch move thingy, but for a bit of a final battle flavor, you can zap the person you're touching, dealing 1d8 lightning damage and making them unable to take reactions until the start of her next turn. True Strike gives you advantage on your first hit against your chosen target next turn, as you take a moment to study their defenses. This cantrip is honestly kinda terrible, so I'd recommend using a homebrewed version of it. Have it not be concentration, or also give the target disadvantage to hit you. There's a lot of recommendations online, so take a look and ask your DM for permission to use the modifications. Lastly, when you use the Booming Blade cantrip, you can do a regular melee weapon attack, but additionally, if the target of your attack moves before your next turn, they take 1d8 thunder damage. I would interpret this as you giving them a little shock as you hit them, effectively paralyzing them. You also get to pick 2 spells. Mage Armor gives a villain creature who isn't wearing armor an armor class of 13 plus their dexterity modifier. This can last up to 8 hours, and you can give it to yourself, but that only raises your AC by 1, as your wisdom gives you a +2, if you're using standard point array like I'm doing now. Shield increases your AC by +5 as a reaction whenever you're hit by an attack. This lasts until the start of your next turn, and counts against the triggering attack. We also get to pick a Sorcerer's Origin. Storm Sorcery makes you a Wind Speaker, which means you can speak, read and write Primordial. This means you can also understand its dialects, which are Aquan, Aron, Ignan, and Terran. For flavor, let's refer to Primordial as Latin, and have the dialects be Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and Romanian respectively. Sorry French, didn't have a space for you. We also get Tempestuous Magic, which lets you spend a bonus action immediately after casting a spell of 1st level or higher to have gusts of elemental air briefly surround you, letting you fly up to 10 feet anywhere without provoking opportunity attacks. At the 2nd level of Sorcerer, we gain the Font of Magic feature. This supplies you with an amount of sorcery points equal to your Sorcerer level. You can convert sorcery points into spell slots and the other way around. This takes a bonus action to do, and you regain all sorcery points on a long rest. Additionally, Meta Magic lets you spend your sorcery points to augment your spells to suit your needs. We get to choose 2 Meta Magic options. Quicken Spell lets you spend 2 sorcery points to change a spell's casting time from an action to a bonus action. Empowered Spell lets you spend 1 sorcery point to reroll a number of damage dice on a spell equal to your charisma modifier. You also gain access to a new spell every new sorcery level, but there's a bunch of spells of every spell level that fits Miles, so I'm just gonna mention all the ones I like every time you gain access to higher level spells. Featherfall lets you choose up to 5 falling creatures, slowing their falling speed to 60 feet per round. If they land before the spell ends, they take no falling damage. This is perfect for doing superhero landings, as we obviously don't want to destroy our knees at such a young age. It can also be interpreted as you using your webs to slow your descent or dampen the landing. Magic Missile shoots out 3 balls of web that deal 1d4 plus 1 force damage each. They can hit one enemy or be spread upon multiple enemies, as long as they are within 120 feet each. This can be a good ranged damaging spell for now, but we get a better one in a few levels. And lastly, Jump triples the jump distance of any creature you touch. 3rd level sorcerers gain access to 2nd level spells. Blindness Deafness allows you to shoot webs into an enemy's eyes or ears, blinding or deafening them. They must make a constitution saving throw to resist your webbing, and can make new saves at the end of their turns. Hold Person lets you web up a target within 60 feet of you, forcing them to make a wisdom saving throw or be paralyzed. Invisibility enables you to turn invisible for up to 1 hour, depending on your concentration. The spell also ends if you make an attack or cast a spell. Spider Climb allows you to move along vertical surfaces and upside down for up to 1 hour, depending on your concentration. Web lets you produce a mass of thick, sticky webbing at a point of your choice. The webs count as difficult terrain and lightly obscure the area they cover. Creatures in it must make a dexterity saving throw or become restrained in it. To get out of the restraint, they must make a strength check. Both of these checks are against your spell save DC. At our 4th level of Sorcerer, we get to grab another cantrip. Mage Hand allows you to shoot out a string of web to grab something and give it back to you, or to push a button or move objects, as long as it's within 30 feet. Additionally, we get to pick up another feat. Magic Initiate lets you grab 2 cantrips and a 1st level spell from any spellcaster's spell list. For these spells, you have to use the same spellcasting ability as the class you took them from. Warlock uses Charisma, the same as Sorcerer, and gives us Eldritch Blast. It lets you shoot out a string of web towards a creature within 120 feet, dealing 1d10 force damage on a hit. The amount of webs you can shoot increases at higher player levels, and just like Magic Missile, you can shoot one enemy or spread it upon multiple enemies. For the other cantrip, let's take Lightning Lure, which is pretty much Miles the spell. You hit a target with a string of web, pulling them 10 feet towards you, if they fail a strength saving throw. If they come within 5 feet of you, they take 1d8 lightning damage. Class feature variants on Unearthed Arcana added a few spells to the Warlock spell list, and we'll grab the one 1st level spell they added to the list. Thunder Wave makes a wave of thunderous force sweep out of you. All creatures in the 15-foot cube around you must make a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, they take 2d8 thunder damage and are pushed 10 feet away from you. On a success, they take half damage and aren't pushed. Let's skip on back to Monk, which gives us key points. You have a number of key points equal to your Monk level, which lets you perform various key features. When you use a key point, it is unavailable until you finish a short or long rest. You know 3 key features. Flurry of Blows, which lets you make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action immediately after you take an attack action for the price of 1 key point. Patient Defense, which enables you to spend 1 key point to take the dodge action as a bonus action on your turn. Step of the Wind, which lets you spend 1 key point to take the disengage or dash action as a bonus action on your turn, and your jump distance is doubled for a turn. We also gain the unarmed movement feature, which increases your base speed by 10 feet, as long as you aren't wearing armor or wielding a shield. As a 3rd level monk, we unlocked Deflect Missiles, which allows you to use a reaction to catch a missile when you're hit by a ranged weapon attack. You reduce the damage by 1d10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your monk level, and if you reduce the damage to 0, you can spend 1 key point to make a ranged attack with it, as part of the same reaction. You make this attack with proficiency, and the attack has a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. We also get to pick a monastic tradition, and even if you aren't old enough to drink, Way of the Drunken Master lends itself to our build quite well. You gain proficiency in performance and brewer's supplies, so now you can jam it to sunflower while producing your web fluids. That came out wrong. You also learn the drunken technique. When you do a flurry of blows, you gain the benefits of the disengage action, and your walking speed increases by 10 feet until the end of your current turn. We'll finally take an ability score improvement at the 4th level of Monk. Your self-confidence should be better by now, so let's raise our charisma. Plus that will get us better spell use. We also get Slowfall, which lets you use your reaction when you fall to reduce any falling damage you take by an amount equal to 5 times your monk level. This is perfect for doing superhero landings, as we obviously don't want to destroy our knees at such a young age. Is anybody else getting the feeling of deja vu? 5th level monks gain extra attack, which allows you to attack twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. You also unlock Stunning Strike. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can spend a key point to force a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, the creature is stunned until the end of your next turn. Lastly, your monk unarmed strikes increase from 1d4 to 1d6. 6th level Drunken Masters unlock Tipsy Sway, which gives us the following features. When you're prone, you can stand up by spending 5 feet of movement, rather than half your speed. Additionally, when a creature misses you with a melee attack roll, you can spend 1 key point as a reaction to cause that attack to hit another creature of your choice, as long as the creature is within 5 feet of you. Our unarmed movement also increases your speed by 15 feet instead of 10, and key empowered strikes makes your unarmed strikes count as magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. At our 7th level of Monk, we gain Stillness of Mind, which lets you use an action to end one effect on yourself that is causing you to be charmed or frightened. We also unlock Evasion. When you are forced to make a dexterity saving throw, and the effect makes you take half damage on a success, you instead take no damage, and if you fail, you only take half damage. As an 8th level monk, we get yet another ability score improvement. Raise your dexterity for better attacks, harder punches, better skill checks, and higher AC. Let's go back to Sorcerer for some 3rd level spells. Blink lets you roll a d20 at the end of each of your turns for the duration of the spell. On a roll of 11 or higher, you vanish from everybody's sights. At the start of your turn, you return to any unoccupied space within 10 feet of where you vanished from. Haste allows you to imbue a villain creature with the powers of haste. Their speed is doubled, They gain a +2 bonus to AC, they have advantage on dexterity saving throws, and gain additional action on all their turns, as long as the spell is active. Haste can last up to 1 minute, depending on your concentration, and the extra action can only be used to take the attack action, dash, disengage, hide, or use an object. When the spell ends, the target can't move or take actions until after their next turn. The slow enables you to bind up to 6 creatures with your webbing. They must make a wisdom saving throw or gain the following effects. Their speed is halved, they have a -2 penalty to their AC and dexterity saves, they can't use reactions, and they can only use either an action or a bonus action. The affected creatures can make a new wisdom saving throws at the end of their turns, freeing them from the binds on a successful save. The 6th level Storm Sorcerers unlock Heart of the Storm, which gives you resistance to lightning and thunder damage. Additionally, when you cast a spell that deals lightning or thunder damage, stormy magic erupts from your body, dealing lightning or thunder damage equal to half your sorcerer level to all creatures of your choice within 10 feet. Storm Sorcerers also get the Storm Guide feature, which allows you to subtly control the weather around you. Like, if it's raining, you can make the rain stop falling in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on you, or you can change the direction a wind blows in a 100-foot radius sphere centered on you. Be creative, and use this to make your entrances seem even more epic than they should already be. At the 7th level of Sorcerer, we gain access to 4th level spells, but there is only one that I want. Greater Invisibility works just like Invisibility, except it only lasts for 1 minute instead of 1 hour. Additionally, you can cast spells and make attacks without disrupting your invisibility, as long as those actions don't ruin your concentration. Our capstone is at the 8th level of Sorcerer, which gives us our last ability score improvement. Let's cap our dexterity as well, and take up the mantle as the true amazing Spider-Man. Now, let's look at all the negatives and positives of this build. First of all, you got a ton of skills, and you have a lot of fun and different ways of dealing damage. You have both short and long range spells, such as Shocking Grasp and Eldritch Blast, or you can just run around and hit people while invisible. Sadly, our health is not the best, giving you only a decent chunk of over 100 if you roll above average. But you shouldn't really take damage in the first place, as you are extremely elusive, with things like a 17 base AC, shield, invisibility, blink, haste, monk movement options, and evasive. And also, we don't just do pretty decent damage, but we also have a lot of crowd control. With spells like Booming Blade, Hold Person, Web, Lightning Lure, Thunder Wave, Slow, and also Stunning Strike, you get to choose when and where your enemies get to move. Though a few of these spells won't last very long, as you have a very low concentration save. Invisibility, Haste, Hold Person, Web, and Slow can be particularly difficult to keep active. Lastly, you've got relatively low soft stats. If you rolled well, this is probably not a big problem, but all spells that aren't based on you making a dexterity save can end up being a problem for you. But if you play well, then you shouldn't need to worry about that too much. Just bounce around the battlefield and blast people with spells from both up close and far away, or just punch them normally while you've got them tied up. Just remember, you can't do everything yourself, so keep yourself open to work with a team, even though a lot of them may have similar niches to you. Thanks for watching! I really enjoyed making the Ultimate Spider-Man, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing how I made him. I'm currently working on making some video game characters as D&D characters, including the cast of Team Fortress 2. If you have any ideas for some other game characters I should try to make, please leave them in the comments. But for now, I wish you a good day.